Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dave's Ohio Barbecue. I don't know if you've been watching the news recently, but there is a chicken wing shortage going on right now. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make my version of boneless chicken wings. Stick around. So if you guys like this video, make sure you leave a comment down below, even if you don't like it. I don't care. Tell me you think my plaid shirt is stupid. I really don't give a crap. But whatever, leave it down below. I reply to most comments unless they're really stupid, and then I just delete them. But otherwise, I'm willing to have a lovely conversation with you, so leave some comments down below. All right, first off, before you feel the urge to leave a comment down below, I know that there is no such thing as a boneless chicken wing. They're not from the wing. It's from another part of the chicken. Didn't have any bone removed. Yes, it's basically a different version of a chicken tender, maybe a smaller version, or a chicken McNugget or something like that, but cut and made to taste and resemble more of a chicken wing. I read an article about there being a chicken wing shortage. They said it's due to the pandemic. A lot of the takeout restaurants were like flooded with orders, so that kind of knocked down their supply. And then also the big freeze that they had in Texas recently, that killed off a bunch of chickens. So the price of chicken per pound apparently has gone up like over 85% in the past year and a half. That's quite a bit. A lot of places have been trying to offer you other cuts of chicken. In fact, if you have a Wingstop near you, they recently started an app called Thigh Stop, where they sell you fried chicken thighs instead of chicken wings like you usually get from there. I don't know how successful it was, but whatever. So what I'm going to do today is show you how I make boneless chicken wings. I kind of like boneless chicken wings. They're basically just chicken tenders, although the way I make them, they're a little crunchier, they're a little smaller, and the meat's different. Chicken tenders usually use the tender from the chicken, which is just like part of the breast. It's a white meat, dries out a little quicker. Not the greatest cut of meat. I use chicken thighs to make my boneless chicken wings because there's a lot more fat in them. They stay juicier even if you overcook them, and they just taste better. They taste more like the actual meat that comes from a wing than breast meat does. Before I start cooking and preparing these chicken thighs, I bought some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. All the amounts and the ingredients that I give you in this recipe are going to be for 1 pound of chicken thighs. I'm not making 1 pound. I'm making actually closer to 3 pounds. So don't pay any attention to the amount of things I put in there. Just look at the numbers I put on the screen, and I'll also put the recipe down below in the description as well. Before I do anything with these chicken thighs though, I like to brine them. Get a little salt kind of inside the meat. It increases the flavor, helps it retain juiciness. You can do it the traditional way. Traditional way would be for every pound of meat you have, take about a ½ teaspoon of salt, kosher salt preferably, and just kind of sprinkle it all over the chicken, let it sit overnight. That way that salt will suck out some of the moisture and then draw the salty water back in to the chicken. That's great. I'm going to do a different method. I'm going to use a liquid you might just have laying around in the fridge right now. I'm going to use pickle juice to brine my chicken. Now, when I get done with a jar of pickles like that, I run it through, like a filter and get all the bits and pieces out and just save the brine in a Ziploc bag in my freezer. I actually use 2 Ziploc bags full of pickle juice to make this. Now, you might be thinking pickle juice is an odd thing to brine chicken, and actually it's been done for, many years. In fact, and I have no proof of this, I was told that's how Chick-fil-A prepares their chicken, is that it's brined in pickle juice beforehand. Now, if you don't have any pickles in the fridge or you don't have any brine saved up, you can actually order a gallon jug of pickle juice off Amazon. It runs from like $15 to $20 for that. And that's fine if you're really into trying it, and go for it, do it that way. Otherwise, you can just use the salt method. But for the pickle juice, I put it in a Ziploc bag. And for this amount of chicken, for 1 pound of chicken, I put about a ½ cup of pickle juice in there and kind of, just slosh it around. I put it in the night before, so it's going to be in there for almost 24 hours. Make sure every, once in a while, open the fridge and just kind of move the bag around to make sure that the chicken is making contact with the pickle juice on all different sides. Take the chicken out of the brine and dry it off. Put it on a paper towel and just kind of pat it dry a little bit. Now, you may notice when this is done sitting in the brine that it kind of takes on like a cloudy look. It goes from being pink flesh to sort of having a kind of, a little bit of a lighter shade to it, and that's fine. That's just the acid in the pickle juice, the vinegar just, taking effect. It's not really going to affect the chicken at all. Now, obviously these thighs are too big to make into something that resembles a, chicken wing. So what I like to do, there's no real set rule. It depends on the size of the thighs you have, but I like to, look at it and cut them up so that it resembles the size of a chicken wing. Sometimes I cut the bigger meaty end into 2 chunks, and then I take the other end and cut it in half. Sometimes I just cut right down the length. It just depends. It's up to you, but try to make them all roughly the same size. That way they'll cook at the same rate. Now, a lot of recipes like this where you're gonna fry some chicken, they have you soak the chicken in buttermilk. We're not gonna soak the chicken in buttermilk because we don't really need to break down the chicken anymore. The pickle juice has already done that. But we are going to use buttermilk for to make our breading stick to the chicken. And since we're doing a buffalo wing style boneless chicken wing here, I'm gonna put a little Frank's Red Hot into my buttermilk. How much is up to you. For, of the 3 cups that I'm using here, I probably put in a strong tablespoon. But if you like it spicier, put in more. If you don't like it, just leave it out. So once the pieces have been in the buttermilk for a while, then you need to bread them. For the breading, we want to make a really nice crisp coat on it. I really like crunchy chicken when I eat it. So there's 1 cup of all-purpose flour in here, and to that I'm going to add 1/3 cup of cornstarch. This is kind of the secret. Cornstarch really gives it that really like teeth-shattering crunch that everyone likes so much. So put that in, whisk it together evenly. You can also use this opportunity to add a little bit of flavor to your breading if you want. I put about a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in there, and then I put about a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of black pepper as well, just to give it a little bit more flavor to the breading. All right, so before we get frying on these boneless chicken wings, make sure you hit the like button down there and also hit subscribe and hit the bell next to it as well. That way you get notifications anytime I make a new video. So once these are breaded, I transfer them over to a baking sheet and let them sit there for a bit. Now we gotta fry them. Okay, I got a big, heavy pot here. It's out on my gas grill, actually, is where I'm doing this. And I wanna bring the oil up to a temperature of 325 degrees. Or at least that's the temperature I want to try to cook it at. The problem is when you bring it to 325, if you put 5 or 6 pieces of chicken in there, it's going to drop to 300 really quick and sort of have to fight to get its way back up. So what I tend to do is in between each batch of chicken, I let the oil get up to about 350. Once it's up to about 350, then I put the chicken in. That drops it down pretty quick into the 320 range, and that's perfect. You don't really want to do more than 5 or 6 strips of chicken. If you put too much in, it's going to drop dramatically, and you're going to have a hard time getting the temperature back up. It's going to take longer to cook. It's not going to brown properly. So do 5 or 6 pieces. The oil will sink. Make sure you keep your temperature control. If you need to jack it up a little bit, turn it down. Keep an eye on it, but you want it to get back up to around 325 degrees. You're going to cook these for a total of about 6 or 7 minutes, maybe 3 on the side. I've noticed with this that the oil bubbles so much that you really don't need to flip them around that much, but I have this little strainer thing and I like to kind of just put it in there and just kind of fish around and flip them over every so often. When it reaches that beautiful golden brown look that you're looking for, take them out. I've got a wire rack on a cookie sheet and I've got some paper towel underneath it. Put them onto the cookie sheet and just let them cool. These things are lava hot right now. Don't eat them. You'll burn the roof of your mouth, you'll burn your tongue, and then you'll have that weird, everything tastes funny feeling on your tongue for a week. So don't do that. Let them cool. So like I said, today I'm making buffalo wings out of this. I have a buffalo wing recipe. In fact, I'll put a link to a video that has 3 different types of wing sauces, and it's up here somewhere. And you can go watch that video if you want, but for my buffalo wing recipe, here's all I put in it. Heat that up until it comes to like a simmer. Let it simmer for about 5-10 minutes and then turn off the heat and let it cool. If it separates later, if like the butter separates from the hot sauce, you can just kind of whisk it back together. It's really no big deal. Now, how do we apply the hot sauce to the chicken? There's 1 of 2 ways. You can put a bunch of the chicken wings into a bowl, dump some of the sauce on, and just kind of shake them around a little bit to get them coated. The problem I find with that is you got to eat them right away. So like do it right before you serve them. That way they stay crispy. If you're going to let them sit for a while, I wouldn't do that because it's just, a little bit too complicated. Actually, it softens up the chicken too much. What I prefer to do is I prefer to take my golden brown chicken wing here and just have a little side dish of this. That way you can dip in there. People can get, exactly as much as they want on there. And the crunch is amazing. Let me finish chewing. Oh, thank you. My mother taught me not to talk with my mouth full, so I didn't want to be rude. It's great. They're crunchy. You can get them really golden brown, and that chicken thigh still stays super, super juicy. They're great. They hold up great until you put the sauce on them, and then you only have a little bit of time before you have to eat them. So you can store them on the side, you can reheat them in the oven, they still are crispy. I've had them the day later and they still had crunch to them. These things are like the super crunchy, boneless chicken wings. They're fantastic. And all you need is boneless, skinless chicken thighs. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Dave's Ohio Barbecue. Make sure you follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. Just search Dave's Ohio Barbecue and you should be able to find it. And then also make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Press the subscription button, press the little bell next to it. That way you get notifications anytime I make a new video. Got a lot of videos coming out real soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.